I caught my wife because of a $3.25 charge on our E-ZPass. Not lipstick. Not a text I wasn't meant to see. A line item for an off-peak toll at 2:07 a.m. On a Tuesday, flagged in orange on the monthly statement because our balance dipped under $20. I was in Houston for work. She was supposed to be home in New Jersey, asleep with our dog snoring at her feet, and some true crime podcast mumbling about a cold case in the background. Instead, the transponder on our SUV rolled through exit 14 off the turnpike, the one that feeds a strip of highway motels and a 24-hour diner that sells pancakes bigger than your face. If you've never stared at a toll statement like it's a confession, good. Keep it that way. But once the suspicion grows roots, every data point is a weed you can't stop pulling. Before I was a husband, I was a process analyst. I like numbers. I like systems. I like things that balance. Marriage is not a spreadsheet, but it throws off more data than you'd think. Credit card alerts, location pings, thermostats you can pinch zoom like maps. My wife, let's call her Kara, hated that I could see the kilowatts on our app. "We are not a dashboard," she'd say, laughing. It sounded cute until it didn't. We're both 30-somethings who talk like we're older because we've been tired since 2020. I work in operations for a supply chain software company in Hoboken. Remote a lot, travel sometimes. Kara was a vice principal at a suburban high school. We own a 2-bedroom cape that smells like coffee in the morning and like wet dog in the spring. We got married in a city hall ceremony with a backyard taco truck later because her parents like to tell stories about frugality. The first part of our marriage was quiet, which is a blessing until you realize quiet can hide things. When I saw the toll charge, I did what sane people do at midnight in a hotel bed. I told myself a story that made me comfortable. Maybe Kara couldn't sleep and went to the diner. Maybe she picked up Advil at the 24-hour pharmacy. Maybe a friend needed help. Maybe anything. The problem with maybe is it's a credit card with no limit. You can buy any reality you want until the bill arrives. I checked the Nest app. Motion at 1:41 a.m. In our living room. A door. Silence. Motion again at 2:29. Thermostat up 2 degrees at 2:35. Back down at 3:10. Front door lock re-engaged at 3:13. If you want to know whether you're alone, look at your appliances. I didn't sleep. I lined up the dots in my head like pushpins on a corkboard. I didn't call her because I didn't know whether I wanted to hear her lie yet. I stared at the ceiling until my early flight. On the way to Newark, I opened our E-ZPass account and exported the last 6 months. On the train into the city, I filtered for exits by that motel stretch. 3 hits, 2 in March, 1 in April last night. I had the kind of day where every conversation sounds like a radio in a neighbor's house. You know it's happening, you can't quite make out the words. I walked into our place at 6 p.m. smelling like airplane air and soap. The dog, Moose, did his full body wag. Kara smiled the way you smile when someone's filming you. "Hey," she said, like it was any Tuesday. I hugged her, kissed her hair, and breathed in the faint, sweet perfume she wore for interviews and weddings and, apparently, motel sheets. The house was immaculate. Kara likes to reset rooms before I get back from trips. It used to feel like love. That night it felt like staging a scene. "How was Houston?" she asked. "Humid conference rooms and coffee that tastes like cardboard," I said. Kids are already thinking about summer," she said. Senior pranks started early. Someone released 3 chickens in the hallway labeled 1, 2, and 4. She laughed. "They're still looking for 3. I wanted to ask whether she'd been to exit 14 at 2 in the morning. Instead I said, "That's funny." And we ate leftovers and watched 2 episodes of a show about lawyers who never open emails. Here's the thing. I didn't want to catch my wife. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted the toll to be a glitch. But if you've ever held a thread and felt the tug on the other end, you know you either pull or spend the rest of your life wondering. On Friday, Kara went out for staff drinks after a long week. I fed Moose, set my laptop on the dining table, and opened the Nest timeline. Nothing weird. I checked the E-ZPass account like a crazy person. Nothing new. I stared at the photo on our mantle from when we first got Moose, when Kara wore a beanie and I wore the dumb grin of a man whose favorite person laughs at his dad jokes. I decided I was inventing monsters under the bed and went to bed early. The monsters showed up Saturday morning. Kara was in the shower. Her personal iPad, older, cracked at the corner, was face down on her nightstand, charging. We don't snoop in our house. We didn't, I should say. But she had logged into iMessage on that iPad once to send her mom a recipe and never logged out. A banner slid down the locked screen. Let me know when he's out. I'll bring coffee. Unknown number. No name. The preview showed a gray bubble before it disappeared. You can feel your pulse in your gums when your life tilts. I picked up the iPad and looked down the hallway. The shower ran. Moose snored on the rug. I swiped and the messages bloomed like mold. Ryan, parking down the block. You sure? Kara, he's in Houston. Don't be dramatic. Ryan, you know I hate sneaking. Kara, then don't knock. Scroll. Ryan, can't stop thinking about Tuesday. Kara, me either. Scroll. Pictures. Not explicit. Not wholesome. A selfie of a wrist with a woven bracelet. Blue threads. A motel room lamp with a beige shade that looked like every motel lamp I've ever seen. A paper coffee cup on a nightstand with a smudge of lipstick that wasn't Kara's shade. If this were a movie, I'd slam the bathroom door open and scream. I didn't. I put the iPad down on the bed, face down again like a crime scene I couldn't look at, and walked to the kitchen on legs that didn't feel like mine. I stood there staring at the toaster until the shower stopped. Kara came out in a towel, steam like a halo. You okay? She asked. I'm making coffee, I said. And only when I heard how flat it sounded did I realize I hadn't actually moved. She dressed. We ran errands like two people who live in a catalog. We bought a basil plant. We argued about whether we needed more mason jars. I carried the knowledge like a live wire in my pocket. At night, she fell asleep on my shoulder, and I lay awake staring at the ceiling, counting the bumps in the plaster. Sunday morning, I took Moose to the park and sat on a bench watching a kid in a Spider-Man shirt try to climb the slide the wrong way. The iPad burned a hole in my brain. I opened my phone, saved the thread to screenshots, emailed them to myself. I hate who that made me. I did it anyway. When you confront someone, you have to decide what you want. An apology? The truth? A performance? A plan? I wanted a path out that didn't burn the house down. I learned quickly those paths don't exist. I confronted her Sunday night because there is no good night and I couldn't carry that wire into another week. Who's Ryan? I asked at the sink, where she was rinsing blueberries like they needed absolution. She blinked. The human body is a snitch. Her shoulders stiffened before her face did. Who? The guy with the woven bracelet, I said. The one who likes coffee at 2 a.m. near exit 14. The one texting you on your iPad right now. Her mouth opened and closed. The fight or flight landed on fight. You went through my things? I saw a notification, I said. Then I saw the rest. It's not what you think, she said, and I laughed and hated myself for it because that line is such a cliché it should come with a fine. Kara, I said, and my voice did that shaking thing I didn't know it could do. Are you seeing someone? She looked down at the sink, watched a berry roll to the drain like the universe offering her an escape hatch. I didn't mean to, she said, very small. It just happened. Gravity just happens, I said. People don't. It started after Christmas, she said, leaning on the counter like her knees might give out. I was drowning at work. I was the person everyone yelled at. Parents, teachers, kids. I felt invisible here. He. Who is he? I asked. She swallowed. He teaches history, she said. At my school. My stomach dropped in that roller coaster way where your brain knows you're safe but your organs disagree. You're his boss, I said. He's not in my direct evaluation chain, she said, like that would fix the physics of it. It's complicated. I pictured faculty meetings, hallway nods, the careful choreography of two people pretending their gravity doesn't affect the tides. I pictured myself at home cleaning out the lint trap like a good husband. How long? I asked. For months, she said. Off and on. How off? She closed her eyes. Not very. Do you love him? I don't know, she said. I love how I feel when I don't have to be the person who has everything together. There are sentences you can't unknow. That's one of them. I told her I was moving into the guest room. I told her we'd speak with a lawyer in the morning. I told her Moose stayed with me because Moose didn't cheat on anyone and shouldn't have to hear us negotiate who loves him more. I made a mistake, she said again, like a prayer. You made a plan, I said. You made several. I didn't throw anything. I didn't slam doors. I sent an email to a family friend who does divorce law in our county, and then I sat on the floor next to Moose and pressed my face into his neck while he licked tears I didn't know I had. There is no dignity in heartbreak. I'm not going to pretend there is. Here's where people on the internet start telling me I should have gone nuclear. I didn't. My attorney told me something I wrote down. You can either get even or get out clean. Pick one. I picked clean. And this is important, I didn't save Kara from Kara. I just stopped being her alibi. Monday, I forwarded the screenshots to a new email I created for the divorce folder. I exported 6 months of E-ZPass and credit card statements. I built a timeline no one asked for and everyone would eventually need. Kara moved quietly through the house like a person trying not to wake a sleeping giant. She left for work early. She didn't come home until late. On Wednesday, the district's HR director called Kara into a meeting. I know because she texted me from the parking lot afterward. Someone reported us. I stared at the word until it stopped meaning anything. They're investigating. He says he's going to deny it. I didn't report her. I didn't need to. Someone else at that school had eyes and a mouth and a conscience or a grudge or all of the above. The district put both of them on administrative leave pending investigation. Kara came home with a look I've only ever seen on new widows. Please don't do this, she said, which was wild because I hadn't done anything but breathe and make dinner for 1 and 2 if you count the dog. I'm not doing anything, I said. You did. They'll take my job, she whispered. I didn't take it, I said. But I won't help you keep it. The union got involved. Lawyers emailed each other emails that probably cost more than my first car. Kara paced the house arguing with someone named Melissa who worked at central office and kept saying optics, like it was a medical condition. On Friday, the district put out a bland statement about a personnel matter. On Saturday, a local Facebook group posted a blind item with details that weren't blind. On Sunday, Kara's mother called me and cried in that way that makes you feel like a villain even when you're the one sitting in the rubble. Can't you forgive her? She asked. I can live without hating her, I said, and still refuse to lie for her. We told our families. My brother offered me his couch. My dad said nothing long enough that it became its own sentence. Kara moved into the guest room without me asking. She started looking for apartments with short leases. She asked if we could sell the house fast to get ahead of rumors. I said we'd do it when the lawyer said we should. It was the coldest I've ever sounded. It was also the most honest. 2 weeks into the investigation, Kara's phone lit up on the kitchen island while she was in the shower. I didn't mean to see it. I'm not a saint. I didn't look away either. Ryan, they're suspending me without pay. Can we talk? Another bubble popped up before the screen dimmed. Alana found everything. Alana. He was married. I didn't know. Kara hadn't mentioned a wife any more than she mentioned E-ZPass exits. Alana emailed me that night. I don't know how she found me. People can find anyone when their life is on fire. I'm sorry to contact you like this. She wrote, but I thought you should know I'm leaving him, and I won't be quiet about what they did at work. This is bigger than our marriages. She attached screenshots, dates, times, a selfie of Ryan in a beige motel room, bare forearm, woven bracelet, the same lamp from Kara's photo, which means all roadside motel designers shop at the same beige store. I didn't coordinate with Alana. I didn't need to. She was a storm all by herself. The district widened the investigation to include misuse of school time, violation of ethics policies, and potential safety concerns because Kara had been the administrator in charge of supervising the hallway where her boyfriend's classroom lived. The board doesn't love liability. They prefer the kind of boring that doesn't make the news. Kara sat at our table and asked me to write a character letter. Just say I've always been professional, she said. Say you've seen how hard I work. I have, I said. And you were professional until you weren't. You're enjoying this, she spat, which would have hurt the old me. The new me stared at her like a stranger on a bus having an argument out loud with themselves. No, I said. I'm surviving it. The district terminated both of them the following month. Kara lost her job, her administrative certificate pending a state review, and the kind of future she'd been building since grad school. Ryan's union filed a grievance that made the news. Kara's name didn't, but names are easy to figure out when the internet decides to play detective. The hate messages started the next day. She changed her number. She cried in the shower with the fan on, like the noise could erase her. I didn't celebrate. I packed boxes. I met with my lawyer. I asked for the dog. I kept the house until sale because I could cover the mortgage on my salary and because Moose hates change and I had changed his entire world without asking. We agreed on a buyout number if I wanted to keep the place. I did. Kara moved into a bland one-bedroom near the highway with a balcony that faced a parking lot. She bought a rug that looked like a coastal town brochure. She posted an Instagram story of a wine glass at sunset and tagged it New Beginnings. The comments were a graveyard of hearts and "you got this" from people who didn't know where this had come from. If the story ended there, you'd say I ruined her life. I didn't. I refused to maintain her scaffolding. Gravity did the rest. But there was one more thing. 3 months after she moved out, a letter arrived from the State Board of Examiners. Not to me, obviously. To Kara. I don't open other people's mail. She came by to pick up a box and the letter. I was at work. She let herself in with the key she hadn't returned yet. That night, she called me and left a voicemail which I listened to twice because I didn't understand the words the first time. They're revoking it, she said, voice scraped raw. My certificate. They said conduct unbecoming. I can appeal, but they said it's unlikely. She took a breath that sounded like drowning. This is who I am, she whispered, and hung up. You can feel two truths at once. That a consequence is fair, and that it's devastating. Both were true. I didn't feel joy. I felt tired. The divorce finalized faster than I expected. New Jersey is funny that way. Glacial until it isn't. We signed papers in a room that smelled like carpet cleaner. She didn't ask for alimony because her lawyer told her the optics would be bad, and because she got a severance from the district that would float her for a while if she was careful. She had never been careful. I kept the house. I kept Moose. I kept my dignity by the thinnest margin. A week later, Kara called to ask for a favor. If anyone calls for a reference, she said, will you say something neutral? I'll say we're divorced, I said. I'll say you were driven and smart and that you lost your job for cause. I won't lie. You're cruel, she said softly. No, I said and meant it. I'm done paying interest on loans you took out. Ryan's wife, Alana, sent me a photo of a lease with only her name on it. She stepped out into a life without him, and the caption said, room for plants and peace. I clicked a heart on it. We never met. We didn't need to. We were witnesses to each other's fires. Nothing more. People ask what winning looks like in a story like this when the husband wins. They expect a montage. Me jacked in the gym, me on a boat, me with a woman who looks like a person hired to play the upgrade in a sitcom. Here's what it looked like. A Saturday morning in October when Moose and I walked to the farmer's market and bought apples, and the guy at the booth threw in an extra because Moose winked at him. It looked like not checking the Nest app at midnight because I didn't need to know what an empty house did in the dark. It looked like cooking for one without sadness fermenting in the pan. It looked like the first night I slept 8 hours and woke up not thinking about parking lots. Do I hate Kara? No. Hate is a hobby. I don't have time. Do I wish none of it happened? Every day. But there is a part of me that is grateful the E-ZPass dipped under $20 and lit up orange, because it saved me from a life where I would have become a detective in my own home. There are worse prisons than suspicion. You build them yourself. I ran into Kara once months later at a Target because, of course, She wore a sweater that looked like comfort and a face that looked like a person who hasn't slept in the right kind of bed in a while. She asked how I was. I said good because good was finally honest. She asked about Moose. I showed her a photo of him with a bandana, because Moose is that guy now. She smiled and then she cried right there next to the slow cookers. I handed her a tissue and we stood there like two people who used to share a life and now only share the aisle. "I'm sorry," she said. The worst and best words human mouths can make. "I know," I said. "Me too." I wasn't apologizing for anything I did. I was apologizing for the whole sad set of choices that took two decent people and wrung them out. I was apologizing for the world where someone like Kara thought she had to set herself on fire to feel warm. A month after that, I started dating again. Not a montage. Coffee with a nurse who rolled her eyes at my spreadsheet jokes and then laughed, which is different. A hike with a woman who teaches art to kids and has paint on everything she owns. A movie with someone who didn't check her phone during the credits. I wasn't looking for redemption. I was looking for a person whose quiet felt like quiet, not like a missing sound. If you want advice because you are reading this at 2 a.m., with your stomach in your shoes and an orange flag on your E-ZPass statement, here, don't be a hero. Be a historian. Write things down. Save screenshots. Don't threaten. Don't grandstand. Find a lawyer who talks like a human. Tell two friends so you don't make the whole internet your confessional. Don't let anybody make you their PR firm. Don't make yourself small to keep someone else comfortable. And when it's over, build a life so boring you have to invent reasons to get your heart rate up. Kara teaches SAT prep online now. She lives in a different county where there are fewer people who know her name and the board's letter sits in a drawer under takeout menus. Sometimes she texts me pictures of Moose when the Memories app shoves one in her face. I send back a thumbs up, which is the adult version of a handshake at a gas station. I hope she finds a quiet that doesn't need hiding. I don't want ash for her. I just don't want smoke in my house anymore. Last week, I got an email from E-ZPass. Your balance has replenished. I smiled for the first time at a toll notice. It means I drive places late at night sometimes now. Not to motel exits. To the bridge where the city looks like a postcard, to friends' porches, to a little diner that sells pancakes bigger than your face. I sit at the counter and order coffee and a stack and I don't need to check an app to know where my life is.